Okay, we have Mountain Blade Bannerlord. No, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord. Shit,
Mountain
fucked
Blade
it up.
Bannerlord 2. Mountain Blade 3 Bannerlord 2.
So I've never played these games, but you guys have quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
So
I
so yeah, just
Yeah,
just to put that out there, I am completely new to this. I haven't even touched the previous game, so you guys will be telling me what this game is about.
So me and Dawson are pretty on the same page with Mountain Blade Warband, the one that was before this, the expansion amount. It's one of our favorite games ever because it's really fucking good.
It's really fun. It's just incredibly fun. Basically, to put it simply, Mountain Blade. What is Mountain Blade? That's an important one because I don't think.
The best way to describe Mountain Blade to someone who hasn't played Mountain Blade is like. Because this, I sort of reverse engineered this when talking about the Total War games. It's like a third-person Total War game where you play as one of your leaders.
Yeah.
What if I've never played Total War?
Right. So you have this large overmap. You've got a lot of cities. You've got a lot of
desert
bandits
bandits.
that are sometimes at war. There's a lot of bandits running around for you to beat up, and basically you are a feudal lord. Not necessarily always a lord immediately, but you essentially are a feudal lord. You or a band. You have a war band.
Yeah. You start out as a person in the game. The game has a very it's an open world game that has very open progression. It's how you progress is entirely up to you, and how the world progresses is entirely up to you, or maybe it's not, depending on your position in the world.
Depending on how strong you are.
You start out very small, running around killing a bunch of bandits. This is a little bit early-ish in my playthrough. I'm already working with the kingdom, but essentially what you can do is you can form your own kingdom, get with one of the mini kingdoms that's running around, or just run around forever killing bandits and recruiting dudes. And you start very small, and you grow up to be a big old lord who kills people.
Yeah, that progress feels really nice too.
Yeah,
you're like some nobody who, if you get set upon by 2 or 3 bandits, you're gonna die. So you have to pretty much like build up an army of like 6 guys or something, and then go hunt bandits until people know who you are, and maybe you can become a mercenary for a king. And then once you're a mercenary, you can get a lord, or it progresses like that.
So what I've kind of picked up from playing, or from like listening to you guys talk about this game, it sort of has like 3 major components, right? Like there's these combat components.
Which are also very good, and we'll talk about those in a second.
There's like the overworld running around stuff, and then there's also like a kind of a political like meta game on top of it.
That pretty much describes it.
Here's a better example of what it is. Imagine if instead of playing Civ as a kingdom, you played Civ as a group of units. Like Civilization.
Yeah.
And basically, instead of like upgrading a town, you run around, you recruit people, and then you can like join one of the. Then all of the factions are run by NPCs.
Right.
Except for yours. So you'll either
look how broad your shoulders are.
Yeah.
Well,
those are because of my shoulder pads.
now that actually does bring me into something that Bannerlord does that's kind of new. Compared to Warband, which is the previous installment. Bannerlord allows you to have something called a clan even before you are like in with a lord or anything, where you can lead a group of men, and you can actually split your party. Like that Rugen the Red guy is a hero that Thel has.
Yeah.
He could, in theory, tell Rugen the Red to just go take some of his units and run around and go kill bandits by himself.
Yeah.
And that NPC will then like train up units and do his own thing.
And another thing they've added, and you can do this if you're a part of a kingdom, that Rugen the Red guy, not only can he go do that and form his own army, and the amount of armies you have is based on your clan level, but you can also, like, combine them into one big army. So, like, and you can do this with everyone in your kingdom if you have enough influence. So if, like, members of your clans have their own armies, you can say, hey, form my big group, we are going to go raid a castle rather than say like making you the warden and like having people do whatever they want, but they should probably follow you because they'll lose influence. Now it's like, hey, you have to follow me and we're going to form one big party to go siege something. It makes sieging a lot easier as like just someone who is running around.
In Mountain Blade Warband, you essentially had to have all of the units you wanted to siege a castle with by yourself, but now you're capped at 70 units, so how are you supposed to do that? Oh, split off my party into 4 different guys and then tell them to follow me, so each one of those commanders can command the units.
Oh, and not only that, the cap of 70 units increases as you get more renown,
70
get
was
more
like hypothetical number. So another thing that happens like in the combat systems, if I don't know, you tend to play as your own Lord, Fel, but one of the things that happens in the combat systems, if you join a Lord and you're like, say you're a mercenary for a Lord and they're in combat, you join them, they will actually give you the opportunity to take control of a portion of their army. So whereas before in Warband, if you joined in a combat, you controlled all of the units because they wanted to give you control of all the units, just so that you could do it right. But that didn't make sense if you suddenly started commanding a Lord's units because you're some like nobody who just came to save him with your 4 guys.
In this one you command well, I think in Warband you commanded your own units, like the ones from your party when you were in a big Lord fight.
I'm not sure, but in any case, it does give either you the opportunity to kind of subsidize your army if you're fighting with a large army of people, of like heroes, or it gives you the opportunity to command part of a Lord's army if they have a lot of guys that
and we could probably get into that later because I do actually get into a big army battle in this footage. So right here what I'm doing is I'm joining a tournament. That's at this point in the game I'm playing as kind of a babby, and like when you like almost immediately, like this is when I started playing yesterday, and then at the end of yesterday I had like as many shops as I could and like 2 castles, and immediately when you get fiefs you stop being a babby because you just passively make a shit ton of money. But one of the good ways when you're a babby to gain not only renown but also money is to participate in tournaments and use your fighting skills to take down other people. And you essentially fight against random units and or other lords who come in and participate in the tournaments as well, and just fucking sweet because lords are like the strongest units in the game.
That person running around on foot looks like a child.
You can play as a child in this game, believe it or not.
It's like a debug feature, but they have children models because you like it shows your character growing up over like their backstory.
Right.
So you could take your character, and I think there's like a debug command or something that lets you just get your
hold down R.
Oh yeah. So you get your character stuck as a child in character creation, so you can just play as an actual baby.
That's funny.
But one of the things that they did with tournaments, now tournaments are a great way to earn renown and money and even equipment, which is nice because you couldn't earn equipment in Warband. But one of the things that was really good for tournaments in Warband was training your skills. Now, in Bannerlord, tournaments are not eligible for skill training. It doesn't matter how much you do, it doesn't matter how good you do, it doesn't matter if you block, hit, slap, ride horses, shoot arrows, you don't get skill training.
You can get more skill training for swords and shooting arrows. The problem is Warband, if you're
not in tournaments. No, tournaments have skill training disabled. They disabled it because they didn't want people exploiting it. Like they've stated like that. Yeah, they said that they felt it was exploitive to train inside of tournaments. So, which doesn't make any sense to me. You would think like if you enter a tournament and fight, you're gonna be getting better at fighting.
Right.
But
but
that does segue
into the next thing, which is the leveling up system in this game has changed a lot since Mountain Blade 1, and it kind of sucks now. So what it is you get certain perk points, right? Every level you get like perk points, and you can use it to level up like how many like points you have into the like sword swinging or whatever using swords. But it doesn't level up. You level up swords by using swords. If you put the perk points into swords, it just changes how fast you level up
Yeah.
by
so
a
it's like,
small margin.
it's called focus, yeah.
Yeah.
So you actually level up, say, like Oblivion or Skyrim, where if you use the thing, it levels. But, you
Well,
also have a
the perk system also sounds kind of like a tagged skills in Oblivion, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is, except you can tag it up to like 5 times for a like 1.5 multiplier on your
Yeah.
experience gain or something.
Okay. Well, if
So
you
it's
really wanted
very-
to go
it's not
ham,
very
that's not
significant.
bad once you get to 5, but
Yeah,
at one
exactly,
point
but,
that
like,
does sound kind of
Yeah, it seems like pretty negligible.
Yeah. Well, even at
is pretty
5, stuff
negligible.
levels up really slow in this game.
Yeah.
And
even
in the
compared to
original...
Warband.
Oh,
definitely
in
compared to
Warband,
Warband.
what you did is you leveled up and then you put in skill points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you
I
got
think
like
both actually. In
Yeah.
Warband, you could train stuff and you could put in skill points at each level.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of like focusing.
What
So
a big map.
but yeah, it is quite a
yeah,
big
yeah.
map. Now see to exemplify Thel's point, did you see all those blue dudes that were clear across from Thel's game?
I wasn't paying that close attention, but I'll
Well,
take your word for it.
there was a bunch of blue castles.
Okay.
For those of you watching at home, you can skip back to look at the blue castles. They have weird Norse names or something, because I always go with the Norsemen. Now, I joined that faction, and then the king of that faction, King Ragnavar, declared war on literally everyone. Lost every single city he owned. All of his vassals abandoned him. And now it's me and King Ragnavar versus the world.
And the thing is, and this is a little bit like Viking Conquest, which was an expansion to Warband. There are also now in the game roaming factions that don't own like any castles or any fiefs. They just are a bunch of characters who run around and are like the forest people. They're not bandits. They are their own kingdom. And you can go to war and like declare war on them and stuff, but you know they're just sort
they're
of
like
their
a
own...
group of adventurers more so.
Yeah,
than
and they have
faction.
heroes and they can use stuff like that. They're essentially how you start out in the campaign, and they can also join. For instance, they can join kingdoms that do have fiefs if they want kingdoms and stuff. And yeah, that's the thing. What he was trying to say is every playthrough of this game is going to be completely different. Not just because of how you decide to affect the world, but because sometimes the world just they roll the dice on things. All of the lords are constantly rolling a billion dice on whether or not they're going to go to war, how they're going to deal with the war, you know, what they're going to be doing. And like currently we're at war with those guys who are like the Spaniards of the game. And
all of the guys are based like slightly based. All of the Mountain Blade games are actually slightly based in real world
conflicts.
Our conflicts, but
Yeah.
not. It's
Yeah.
like very loosely. It's like one of the factions in this game is like the Bretonians or something.
Who
and
are, you know,
they're
Celtic.
clearly just
Yeah.
exactly,
And then there are
they're
the
clearly
Kahigrits, who are Mongol horse archers. There, I'm playing as the Asari, who are Saranid Middle Eastern kingdoms. And
you were saying Saranids like those aren't also Mountain Blade factions.
yeah, no, the Saranids is the is what they're called in the Warband, but it's like a thing. But yeah.
So like, that's not very helpful to what I was saying, but I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one of those large army battles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So now this.
So this is fight. We
where
have
Mountain Blade gets-
about 600 dudes against their 500 dudes.
This is
And
where Mountain Blade.
they
gets
ran away
fun.
from me. Yeah, this is where Mountain Blade gets really cool. I actually died in this battle.
Oh.
But yeah, the coolest thing that everybody loves about Mountain Blade is that it has a bunch of NPCs, and all of the NPCs have their own AI, like the Total War games. But instead of the Total War games, you're playing in the battle rather than commanding units in a real-time strategy.
Well, you
situation.
are also commanding units.
You are also
You
commanding
do
units.
Your F1
Yeah.
through 4 keys do like open different menus for like positioning, and
Yeah.
like you can tell them to form a shield wall or a circle. You can choose between commanding archers and melee units. Like you can see all of this stuff up at the top of the screen. I'm sure.
Oh
it
yeah,
tells
and
you
for
to
all
use
of
it.
you who has played a yeah, I constantly do a lot of unit stuff. I started doing unit stuff in the fucking expansion for Mountain Blade because unit stuff got super expanded. Unit stuff actually from Warband got really hugely expanded in this game too. Not only that, but one thing, if you played the old Mountain games, you'll notice, and
Mountain
if you play the
games.
old Mountain Blade games, you probably played this. But the UI is so much better. Oh
It
my
is
god!
very much better.
Can you
The
pause
UI
during
was
combat and tell
no,
people
you
what
cannot.
to do? No.
You cannot pause.
No.
There's
No,
no pause.
you have to command in real time.
Okay.
Which I think at some point fucks me up here.
It's an immersion thing though, because
Yeah,
you're not playing as an army. You're playing as a battlefield commander. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
well,
and
well
you
that's
can
another
see
way
what-
that it can be contrasted to something like
Total
War.
War,
Yeah.
because like you specifically paused during those. But yeah, here what I'm doing right here is I'm moving my dudes over on this hill so that we can sort of flank them. I was like, well, okay, if the cavalry are going over there, I might as well move my dudes behind them. So I'm taking my dudes. What I'm doing is I commanded all of my dudes specifically to follow me. And while you can see like the main army is directly charging, I'm moving up behind them so that I can move my cavalry and all of my footmen to like just go smack
And-
on them.
Okay, now something that I have noticed, like you said, that the unit's AI has improved significantly. I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
army AI has improved significantly. I remember in Viking Conquest, which was the expansion to War, like the fan-made expansion to Warband, or official.
Yeah, well, it was made by a bunch of modders with the permission of it was essentially made by modders as an expansion.
Well,
yeah.
in Viking Conquest, a lot of the lords would like command their army to do like what you just saw there. They all like he has a bunch of spearmen here, so of course he groups them really tight and forms a shield wall. That's what you do with spearmen.
Yeah.
If you're a player in Warband, but in Warband, all of the lords just charged you immediately.
Well, they either charged you immediately if they thought they could win, or they huddled behind like a strategic location. Like for instance, if there was a river, they would hide behind the river so that they could beat you. If there was a mountain, they hit on high ground, and it was just
Right.
it's just that.
But that was pretty much the point was that was pretty much the extent of their AI. Like
Yeah.
So they were
There
really
was a-
predictable.
yeah, they
Yeah,
were really
there was a point actually, like later on yesterday I was playing, where I was fighting a lord who was definitely going to, and here's like reinforcements. The thing is I have it set where only 400 people can load into a game at any time, like only 400. This is why, because the frame rate's switching like crazy.
That does kind of screw up the balance of the game when you don't let the battles be full sized. But
Yeah.
it's
But
It also
But
makes
yeah,
it playable.
it's necessary. Yeah.
yeah, straight up. Though I will say that this game is a lot better optimized than the last one was, Warband.
Yeah,
even.
I'm pretty sure my computer chugs harder trying to play Viking Conquest than it did ever trying to play this game.
Yeah, straight up. But yeah, what I did is back to Dawson's original point about the Lord's AI being better. I ran into a Lord that I was basically going to win against no matter what. What he did is because he noticed I had a bunch of like horsemen, he created a like circle of his spearmen around a bunch of archers.
Yeah.
He like grouped the archers all really close together, so my horsemen would go through the circle, sort of get stopped by all of the spearmen, and then get shot down by the archers. And it was like, wow, I lost a lot of dudes because he used that specific tactic. That was really good. I'm going to use that next time.
I actually got beaten by a lord who had maybe like half of the units that I had. He wiped me out using a strategy similar to that. He placed his archers at the top of a hill far away that I didn't know where they were. And when I clashed with his main army, it just rained death down on me. Like the AI commanders have been significantly improved, which is great because I don't know if we saw it at the beginning of this fight, but when you're in a fight with multiple lords involved, each of them only commands a portion of the army.
Yeah, they each command their own portion of the army. Like I commanded specifically the armymen that I had recruited, and yeah.
Well, not always. If you're if you're leading the army, or if somebody else is leading an army, not like you coming into a fight late, but if you're inside of an army, like a group of lords that is carrying you around, or if you're leading a group of lords around, it will ask you at the beginning of a battle, okay, here are the platoons. You can command all of the archers. You can command all of these horsemen. You can command all of these spearmen, and whatever you don't pick, the lords will divide up amongst them. The AI will divide up amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty nifty that way too. So it's kind of important that the lord's AI is smarter because, you know, they get like a quarter of the army.
Yeah. Oh, and here's another thing that they added, and this isn't just like UI things. This is like stuff that they should have added in Warband. It was really annoying. Whenever you in Warband were knocked out, you as the player, the fight would just stop. Like okay, you lost, you got knocked out. You in particular, they may have only had 10 dudes left, but you got knocked out. So rip, you lose. In this game, it continues going through stuff, and you can like spectate friendly dudes, and it works really well. Like, even if you're fighting, if you were fighting in a multiple lord battle, if you got knocked out, you would just lose. Because you're the player. Oh, and because I instigated that fight, I get to keep all of these guys. They added the ability.
So what does happen to your guy? Are you dead and you pick someone else now, or what?
No,
you,
someone.
You're knocked out, and you have to wait for your health to come back. If you start a fight while you're at 0 health, you can only auto combat, which is bad because you can't command your units, and you're likely to lose a lot more than if you had fought and commanded.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's essentially what happens is the same thing that happens in you get knocked out, but they drag you away, but you still have a chance to win that particular fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and also in this game there is a speed up combat button. If you're knocked out, you can press the speed up button and it'll speed up all of your units doing stuff. And also, if the enemy is running away, all of the enemies don't need to leave the zone before you can, like, you know.
Yeah, in Warband, like when you routed all of the enemies and they started to run, they would have to like you'd have to like sit there and wait for your guys to chase them down or for them to leave the area entirely.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, they're routed, you win, grats.
Yeah. Yeah, you win, you did it, they're all running away. Like, if there is one particular enemy that's still, like, fighting your guys, you have to kill him first. Like, and usually if you're fighting a lord, it's the lord. He's running around with a horse, smacking your dudes while they're trying to take him down, and he's just really annoying. But aside from that, you can just, like, go out. Like, it's a bunch of quality of life stuff.
What does routed mean again?
Routed means that basically they're all running away and scared and don't want to die because they've already lost the battle.
So they're basically retreating then?
Yeah, essentially, yes.
Okay.
A couple of extra interesting notes for like overland travel and upgrading units. Horses are an item. They always have been, but previously they were only worth equipping to your lords and your hero units because, you know, that's all they were used for, is just equipment. But now, the more horses you have in your inventory, the faster your party goes. And in order to upgrade a unit from a footman to a horseman, you have to have a horse in your inventory, you know, which makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you can have like full-on cavalry units and stuff by just having a lot of horses.
And you can also, like, you also don't have to have nothing but, like, in Warband, if you had half cavalry and half infantry, then you're moving at half speed because you have half infantry. Not everybody's on a horse, but sometimes you wanted infantry, like your giant fucking knights with huge swords are always infantry. They're not gonna be horsemen, and you like those units because they're good.
Yeah.
So in this one, you can purchase horses to keep in your inventory to allow those units to speed up and move faster over the overland map, because you'll notice that everybody moves at different rates. Like some people Phil can't even catch.
Like if you want to chase people down, you need a lot of horses.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and also another thing is that I'll point out here, there are a bunch of additions to towns to make them a lot better. What it used to be is in towns there were always trade from villagers going outside and trading with villagers, trading to towns and caravans and stuff like that. And they basically completely reworked that system. A lot of what changes like prosperity of towns, and this is especially important when you're a lord and own a town, so you know you're sort of playing civilization as like a civilization player. is there are these people who have influence in the town, and you can do quests to change influence. Like particularly if they're like 2 gang leaders, and one of them gives you the quest. This person is getting in the way of my competition. You'll essentially be able to choose which gang leader gets control of what place, and it's really nice. You can like become friends with one and become enemies with the other. All of the different like people, all of those people up on the top have influence and can be used to generate more prosperity or generate less prosperity depending on their specific stats. And also, caravans have been completely changed. Caravans used to be just things like, this is a caravan of this particular kingdom. And they sort of are, but instead of just randomly spawning, what they are is, and you can make them too, lords grab companions and people and set them to make caravans.
Also,
so you'll see like... Yep.
The NPCs that live in these towns can also make caravans as well.
Yeah.
Can you just play as a bandit and do nothing but steal caravans from other people?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
can. Certainly can.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't even have to recruit dudes for that. If you kill a couple guys and take them prisoner, well, if you kill a couple like bands and take some prisoners, you can eventually just recruit your prisoners because they're like, we're tired of getting dragged around as prisoners. Just let us fight.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're like strong enough and also if you gain enough infamy, you can run into bandits and you're like, I am going to fight you, and they'll just be like, we don't want to fight. You mind if we join up with you instead?
Yeah.
Oh, and here, speaking of bandits,
so can you be a lord of the bandits then?
You can be a lord of the bandits.
Man,
Speaking of a lord of the bandits, what I'm doing right now is I am fighting a bandit group. I have 57 dudes, and this is 91 bandits. This is the most bandits I have ever seen in a Mountain Blade game.
I've seen a group of like 150. I beat him with my 50 guys. Bandits, okay, so bandits, looters.
Yeah, looters specifically.
Some bandits are stronger than others.
Yeah.
In Warband, you went up against 51 looters and you had 50 guys, you're probably gonna lose most of them. They would die. Looters in this game carry slingshots and clubs.
Yeah.
They basically cannot kill your units.
Well, okay, here's the difference. In Mountain Blade Warband, there were bandits were depending on what sort of place you were, what equipment they had depended on like what place, what was your placement on the map, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this game, there is still like those kinds of bandits. Like there's steppe bandits, there's mountain bandits, forest bandits, ice like Vikings.
Bow bandits.
But there are always, no matter where you are, looters. Looters are like the lowest tier bandits that you just they're you know whatever. But they can like there's like no limit to the amount of looters that can be in a particular pod. Like those kinds of bandits that are dependent on wherever they are, they spawn from bandit hideouts, and once you remove the bandit hideouts, they go away forever, and they just can't spawn anymore until another bandit hideout spawns. Looters just spawn randomly, and as time goes along, they snowball. As you can see.
So another thing, one of the reasons that they can snowball, and anybody can do this, if a party, because everything's always going on in the world around you. Like, everything is always moving. If you're moving, everything else moves. Which means that things can be in combat by themselves, like, completely on the other side of the world. So, if like, a lord, say a lord attacks 100 bandits, say a lord attacks 20 bandits, and he doesn't kill any of them. He takes all those bandits prisoner. Oh no, but he took a lot of losses. Well, another group of bandits comes and defeats the lord. Those 20 prisoners now become part of that bandit group. Yeah. You can do this to yourself. You can do this for yourself too. Any prisoners that you rescue will join your army. But that goes for all of the NPCs. So NPC armies can get like ridiculous. I've seen groups of looters with like, you know, crazy freaking like chainmail Huskarl type people, you know, because they rescued them from a lord who had just gotten out of a tough fight.
Also, I'm pretty sure bandits like gain one, or looters specifically, like a group of looters will spawn with like 5 looters or something at the lowest, and then gain 1 every day or something, and they can like just eventually snowball into gigantic fucking armies of dudes tossing rocks, as you see here.
Can you imagine just getting together 100 guys and being like, let's go fucking toss rocks at the Lord's army, and
Yeah,
then they
and,
just all get cut down.
Yeah, and of course, like the thing is the same way with Warband, bandits and looters directly affect the economy of whatever towns they're near because they attack settlements, they attack like peasants and kill a bunch of people. So the active trade routes that are always going on everywhere as part of the, constantly moving world are interrupted by these looters. So even as like a super high crazy lord, killing looters will always be worth it because you're increasing the prosperity of your economy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So there seems to be a lot of like pretty complex systems interplaying, even with like just random.
Yeah, exactly.
mobs
running
around.
That's what is so fun about Mountain Blade is the interconnecting. It's the emergent systems. The whole game is just there to be emergent.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Well, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
it is very cool. Mountain Blade is a great game. I love it.
And
I
Mountain
recommend
Blade
it to
2 is a
anybody.
great like addition to Mountain Blade. And it's still very much in beta. It's still very, very janky.
Is it
but,
considered
I mean,
early access? Is it listed as that?
yeah, it's listed as early access.
Damn, we probably should have mentioned that earlier. Oops.
Yeah, we probably should have. But yeah, and it's pretty not close to finished. Like I had to create a second character because straight up a lot of the making your own kingdom options aren't in the game yet. Like as my own kingdom, I couldn't declare war on someone. So,
Yeah, you
there's
can
a
become
lot
your
of
own kingdom, and it pretty much stops there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And anyway about it, it's there are a lot of new systems, and there are going to be even more new systems as time goes along, but even so, I think I put like 50 fucking hours into it just with in this super beta brand. So is it worth your time? Yes. Is it worth your money? Yeah. Is it fun? Hell yeah. This
How
is
hard
one of
is
the
it to pick up if you've never played it before or any of them?
I think this one is going to be way easier to pick up than Mountain Blade Bannerlord because they completely reworked the tutorial, and now there's actually a pretty lengthy tutorial that teaches you all of the mechanics you'll need to know to basically get started.
Okay, that's good.
Which
So, and that's in the games already?
Oh yeah. That released with like the launch of the beta. It's
Cool.
I played through the tutorial I think twice. It's really good for learning stuff. And also, this game, unlike Bannerlord, has a main quest, so that also gives you things to actively work towards. Like it gives you, like increasing your clan. It shows you how to do that through the main quest. So if you're new to it, just start with this one. Straight up, just start with this one. Don't even worry about like Warband. Just start with this one. You'll have an easier time of it.
Well, that's good to know. Is there anything else you want to say before we start heading out?
I think that's maybe
Yeah.
it. There's probably a billion
Ragnavar
others.
for supreme dictator of the world.
Okay.
Follow
King
King Harless
Ragnar's
on
the best.
Follow King Harless on Snapchat. Watch him get shredded by Swadians. No, he is Swadian. Watch him get shredded by Roducks. All right, yeah. Anyway, enough memeing.
All right. So leave a like, comment on the video, subscribe to our channel. In the description, we have a link to our Discord where we're pretty active, chatting with people who want to hang out with us. We have a Patreon if you want to support us directly. Dawson streams on Twitch pretty regularly. There's a link in the description. And he now does a video of the game, or streams video gameplay of the game after our over-the-shoulder drops. So if you're seeing this now on YouTube, chances are he'll start streaming either immediately or is already streaming. If you watch it on the same day.
Workshop that one.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time, and remember, as always, Dawson.
Stay beautiful.
Okay.
I was like, do you want me to say it?
That was dramatic effect.
Sure. Okay.
Stay beautiful.